library closes tonight at 10.
Thank you for watching, and well, the library's gonna close, so we're gonna end it. How's it, guys? I'm here to protect your privacy and keep your data safe.
And I'm here to protect your security and keep you safe.
And welcome to the 4th episode of the Junction. So today we've got a lot to cover because of CES. Well, CES, many of you might not know, but it's the Consumer Electric something. It's in Las Vegas, and it's about all the new stuff that you're gonna have in your homes, or everything about the future, basically. So let's start with Fred the Future. Many of you might not know them, but basically they're an electric car company, and they claim to be the Tesla killer. They claim that their car will be the quickest production car if it ever gets made. So now many of you might not know about this, but Fred the Future, well, they make big promises and they haven't been able to keep them. And they are losing their investors really fast. So this was their last chance, and well, they had quite an embarrassing incident.
Now, YT, I would like you to send the car onto centre stage in the way that you would do it if you arrived home one evening and wanted to send the car to the garage. So using the auto valet park, just press the button and it will find its way to the garage. Whoa.
So the car is basically right now supposed to park itself, but as you can see, it's not really moving at all. So now, moving on to laptops.
So would you pay $9,000 for a laptop? Well, Acer hopes you do. The company released a laptop with two NVIDIA GTX 1080 graphic cards, which is basically the best one you can buy right now. And it has a mechanical keyboard, and it has a curved 21-inch screen. And then people tell me that Macs are expensive.
Moving on to social media. So after failing to sell itself, Twitter is now asking customers for ideas. Jack Dorsey, is that even his name?
Yeah, the CEO of Twitter.
Okay, yeah. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, was on Twitter, obviously, asking the users what they wanted and what they wanted to see and what changes they wanted. So the two biggest changes that he talked about were the edit button, finally, and following topics instead of people. So what does it mean to follow a topic? Well, instead of seeing tweets from individual users in your timeline, you'll be seeing tweets from multiple users related to the topic.
And now we all know it's really tough to keep up with your New Year's resolution, so Google thinks they have the solution. Google Calendar now got an update to help you keep track of your exercise goals. The app can keep track of when you exercise and learns from that, and then can suggest times to exercise accordingly. For example, if you add running to your calendar at 7 o'clock every day, but then you're actually running at 7:30 every day, the app will learn that and will start scheduling your runs at 7:30 instead.
So that's it for the news. Now recently some of you might have seen that the police thinks that the Amazon's Alexa might be a witness to a murder case. For the most part, Amazon complied with them and gave them all the data that they could. So we're going to talk about if tech companies should give data to their governments when they are required to.
I think that user privacy is really important, and I think that sometimes you can have both privacy and justice at the same time. But in some scenarios, you have to compromise some privacy in order to achieve justice. And if tech companies are required to give up some sort of privacy just so that justice is achieved, I think that in some cases they should do that.
The thing is that you say some privacy, but when you give that little bit of privacy away, it just grows exponentially, and next thing you know it, everything about you, the government owns it, they know it. It'll be mass surveillance.
It's no secret that the government might abuse powers once we provide it to them, but I think it's a necessary evil. Put yourself in the shoes of the family of the victims. In whether it's the Amazon case or the Apple case, people lost someone that they care about, and the tech company has the tools to provide justice and to help the government carry on its investigation. And sure, privacy is important, but when it comes to getting justice for someone that we lost, I think that we should compromise privacy for that.
No, okay, yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound a really, cold-hearted person that saying that I really don't care about the victims and all that. I understand, there are so many people who have been affected, and when they understand that the companies, they can provide them the justice, they can provide the evidence against the criminals, and they're not just because some privacy. They're like, we want to give everything we have just to get justice. But the problem with that is that puts many more innocent people's lives at danger. Many more people's privacy is now going to be at danger.
But here's the problem. I think that tech companies shouldn't even have the power to decide to refuse to give data. I think that if the government requires data to carry on an investigation, the tech company should just be forced to do it, and the government shouldn't need to ask the tech company for permission to carry on an investigation. So a few years ago, if someone was suspected of murder or suspected of any crime, the government can get a warrant to search their house to look for clues. But now, as we become more digital and our data is on our phones, our data is on the cloud and the internet, the government should be able to look for clues there. Just because it's moved from a physical location to a virtual location doesn't mean that the government should no longer have access to it. We're not giving the government access to all data. No one wants the government to have access, well, except the government, to all the data about you. But if the government can just access the things required and the data required to carry on an investigation like they used to 10 or 20 years ago, then I think that's more than fair.
The thing is that, first off, you're thinking of a really amazing government, that won't abuse it. Let's think of a really worst case scenario. Let's think that the government in this scenario is a dictator. And you're giving that dictator a tool to access every single civilian's phone, laptop, or anything. So basically, you're giving the dictator a key that he can use, a weapon actually, more of a weapon, that he can use to rule over his people.
No, here's the thing, you're not giving the government a key to access all of your private data. The tech companies aren't required to give the government a key to access everyone's data or to access everything about a specific person. The tech companies are just required to give the government access to some information that could be helpful when solving the crime.
But the thing is, then you're giving the tech companies power to choose what they give and what they don't give. So you're just contradicting your own first point that the tech companies shouldn't even be allowed to choose what they give or not. Because right now you're saying that they should be able to choose.
Get wrecked. So giving all the power to the government is a bad idea, but similarly giving all the power to the tech companies is also a bad idea. Tech companies are now getting away with not giving data to the government, which in some cases is good, but if that carries on as a trend, that could also grow into a bad habit where tech companies are constantly becoming an obstacle to investigation and disrupting security.
But the thing is, first off, you said tech companies are getting away, alright? Getting away means that they're doing something illegal. Right now in the Constitution, not giving the data is not illegal because, well, the Constitution in most countries, not just America, is just so outdated. That's the thing. The laws, they need updating. Also, in many scenarios, the thing with data is that you can't really just give a single piece of data. Let's say in an iPhone. If you give the government access to the iPhone, then they can access everything about the person. You can't just compartmentalize the data that you're giving them. The government then owns everything that the person did.
So there's a decision we need to make. Do we give the government access to no data, so now they can't look for clues and carry on with their investigation? Or do we give the government access to all data and now they can abuse that power for their own personal gain? It's kind of hard to decide which one is the right one, but I think that we need to reach some sort of middle ground, some sort of understanding as to who has the power. It should be a balance between the tech companies and the government. The people should even be involved. But we can't just restrict the government from this data because it's just unfair to the people who are affected.
Okay, so first off, the thing is that you're saying that we're not giving the government any data. They don't have any clues. But the thing is that without a smartphone, they still have clues. Like the way that they've been solving cases for the last, centuries or something with physical proof and evidence. That's what they can still use. And we are much more ourselves online, on the virtual world. And if you're wrongfully suspected and the government then owns that data and then they can see that data about the stuff that you do, the secrets that you want to keep, they might not be illegal or anything like that, but it's just that it's your personal life. It's things that you care about and wouldn't want anyone else to see. And when you find out a couple of dozen officers have seen that data, I'm not really sure how comfortable you would feel about it. Also, how are we going to get that data? In many scenarios, you have to make a backdoor in the device or the software that we're talking about. The thing with backdoors is that they can be abused, not just by the government, but like by different people, by criminal hackers, by foreign governments as well. And then those people will create such damage and chaos that they might not be able to justify that bit of justice.
This whole idea of a backdoor is kind of exaggerated by tech companies. There are ways to give data to the government without creating a backdoor that can be accessed by everyone. If tech companies really wanted to, they could focus some of their resources and select just a few employees who work directly with the government to provide this data without creating anything that can be accessed by the public. But I feel that tech companies just either aren't willing to put in that effort or are using privacy as a publicity stunt.
No, the thing is that you're just understating the immense problems that exist because of backdoors. You see, the CIA itself said cybersecurity was the biggest issue that America was facing. Cyber threats, cyber crimes, and all the hacking attacks and everything. That was their biggest issue. If you start to give backdoors and that type of stuff, that will just increase that problem. It will just escalate it. It will just make it worse. And the thing is, then it's not just, let's say, a democratic country that's going to be asking for backdoors. Then different countries are going to be asking for backdoors. Different organizations can then ask for backdoors to spy on their employees. It's just going to keep going and going till we reach a state where we wouldn't like what we created. We would look back to this year or to this time and then we'll say that this was the biggest mistake mankind ever made.
So it's a dangerous road ahead, and if we take the wrong step, it could have a really bad impact on humanity. But if we stand where we are, it's not much better either. We need to find some sort of middle ground. We need to agree. We need to have a conversation about this and reach a conclusion. For example, we can agree that this data is only provided to democratic governments. We can agree what sort of data is provided. We can agree what sort of data the government can request and how much data they should get. There's a lot that we can talk about this, and just because we're scared of screwing up doesn't mean that we should just stand still.
Yes, we do need to move. We need to improve. We need to do something about it, because this is a really, really massive issue that is going to affect us even in the future. Like right now, the cases might have ended and everything might be simmered down and the news might not be covering it, but the fact still remains that this is a really major thing that will still affect us, that will still be our problem in the future. If not the people who are right now in the high ranking positions, then well, the next generation will have to take care of this. So I think we should really take care of this right now.
Especially as we move on to a more digital world, it's more important than ever to have a conversation right now. And to reach a decision now, we need to update our law. We need to put new rules in place regarding this issue.
So tell us in the comments what you think, and well, I would really recommend you to read about it, because this will impact your life as well. This is going to impact every single person's life. This is going to impact your children's life, your grandchildren's life. This is
really important.
Yeah, this is really important.
You can read about it, and if you can comment with what sort of middle ground you think is the best, or if you can think up of a solution that maybe you can think up of some arguments we haven't thought of, just share it in the comments and we'll talk about it. Guys, we're uploading weekly videos from now on, so remember to hit subscribe if you want to watch me roast him every week.
It's just, there's a bathroom next door and they're drying their hands.